Welcome to The Endless Party. I'm one of the hosts, Elijah Armstrong.
And I'm your other host, Meg Armstrong.
Our podcast is dedicated to making life a party by striving to be better people, living by good values and strong principles.
So let's jump in.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Endless Party.
Hello.
We are so glad you're here.
We are stoked you're here.
Obviously, we are super amped.
Why are we stoked they're here? Well, let me tell you why. It's another opportunity to share with you some of the thoughts we've been thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also another opportunity for us to do what we love. So why wouldn't we be happy we are here today?
Mm-hmm. That was yeah. Okay, so let's just dive right in, shall we?
What are we talking about today?
All the good things.
All the good things.
So I want to share a story with you. I feel like I've shared this many times.
It's one of our favorites, for sure.
So there was this little girl, she was drawing a beautiful picture. Turns out it was a picture of a cat with no tail. So she shows it to her mother, and mom's like, "Sweetheart, this is great, but where's the tail?" And the little girl looks at the marker and she goes, "Mom, it's still in the marker." And I think that's how a lot of our good intentions really are. We have all the best intentions, but they still reside within us. And good intentions just aren't enough.
They're not enough.
No. Like, we need to put action behind those intentions. We need to make sure that we are putting effort in behind those intentions.
Recently, we had, this opportunity to kind of, see the fruits of our labor in a sense of good intentions are not enough. So This month, we had the opportunity of taking Bee and Winnie to their 6-month NICU follow-up appointment. So back in December, when our babies were legit 3 pounds, they come to me with this paperwork and they're like, "You need to schedule your 6-month post-op visit." And I was like, okay. So I just threw a random date on the calendar and made this appointment. And it was kind of funny because they called me, a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "Hey, it's time for their follow-up." And I was like, oh my word, it's been 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we share this story because the appointment was super rewarding because they were just checking that their development was appropriate in the mental, what did they call it? Cognitive, physical. They were just making sure that their overall development was on par with where they should be, specifically because they were premature.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, at the end of the appointment, it was super rewarding because our babies were
actually ahead on those things.
And that felt really rewarding because Elijah and I have really sought out to be so intentional with them these last 6 months. And there's been actually a lot of things we've caught because of their prematurity, that because we caught them so early at this 6-month appointment, everything was cleared up and they were super healthy because we just have made them a huge focus of our lives. And so it was really cool.
No, 100%. It's pretty crazy because ever since we became parents, and tell me if you guys feel the same way, all you parents out there, life seems to move so much faster. Every day feels like a blink of an eye. And the reason that we bring this up is because when we set that appointment 6 months ago, we didn't even think we'd make it to that point.
I couldn't imagine.
It felt like an eon away. And now here we are at 6 months and our babies are 6 months old. And I look back and luckily I have no regrets, but on the same hand, it's like, oh my gosh, my tiny little baby isn't so tiny anymore.
No.
Like those sleepless nights of consoling a baby are almost gone.
Almost.
Not quite. But it's crazy how swift time goes. And that's why we really want to emphasize this, that good intentions aren't enough. And I think so many times people make the mistake of thinking, oh, my wife knows I love her. Or, oh, my spouse knows that I really care about them. Or, oh, my kids know I love them. But do they actually? When was the last time that you gave your wife a kiss? Exactly 3 seconds. When was the last time that you actually said I love you to your kids and gave them a hug? When was the last time that you were very intentional in the relationships in your life? And that's what we're really trying to emphasize here is life is so fleeting and it's so swift that if you don't take the time to act on those intentions, you're going to miss it. There's a poem. I don't remember exactly the poem, but the end of the poem goes something like this, like the saddest words ever uttered are, I wish I had.
I wish I had.
Yeah. And those really are the saddest words ever uttered.
They are.
You know, it's really sad. Like, you don't want to be, like, there's also another phrase, it's like, why not give your friends flowers today? Because there might come a day when you're actually giving them to them on their grave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak, but
Wow.
I mean, and that's what we're really trying to emphasize. I have a really good friend back in middle school, and he was a boxer. I was a wrestler, and I convinced him to come out for wrestling. I was just whooping on him one day, and he got so mad at me that he just punched me in the face, like hard. Anyways, I relay this story because that's how good our friendship was, is that we were able to like get punched in the face and still be okay. But years later, we kind of lost touch, and throughout high school, we never really talked to each other, just kind of went down different paths. And right when me and Meg started dating about 3 years ago, I got a call that said he tragically passed away in a car accident. And he's one of those relationships in my life that I look back and I think, how different would his life have been had I followed through with the good intentions to befriend him again and reach out to him again and show that I cared about him. And I can genuinely say, like, I look back and I can say I wish I had. And I just hope none of you can say that. I hope you say instead, I'm glad I did. And so we just really want to emphasize that good intentions really aren't enough. You know, and I just kind of bring it back full circle to the parenting aspect of it as well. We don't live in a spotless house anymore.
No.
Like we used to.
We're on camera right now. There is a huge mess that we're actually looking at. So
yeah, our house is never dirty.
Never dirty.
But it definitely is messy.
It's messy, for sure. And that has definitely been a switch these last 6 months to like live in a messy house.
But here's what's cool about it. Our little baby girls are never messy.
No.
And they are so loved and so taken care of. And at the end of the day, I would rather neglect my house than those little babies.
Yes.
And they truly, truly, truly know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so cool. And to every parent out there, Meg says this best, but she's always like, the mess will always be there. Like, don't worry, it's not going to leave.
It's not going to run away. It'll still be there tonight.
But your kids eventually do leave. And that's like pretty sad.
It is pretty sad.
There's another quote that reads, like, what's the happiest moment about raising children? And it's like watching them grow up. And then it's like, what's the saddest moment about raising children? It's like watching them grow up. It is. It's a bittersweet thing. Like, you are so excited to see them grow and learn and adapt, but then you're also like, oh my gosh, like, time is forever fleeting. Mm-hmm. And you just want to make sure you soak up every moment of it.
So right now you're probably thinking, well, how do I be intentional? You know, what can I do? Well, I have an answer. So there's a psychiatrist, he's renowned. I don't remember his name, but he described this one practice that he did with his kids, and that was he took 20 minutes every day to just be, to do an activity with them that he knew they loved. So B and Winnie right now, obviously we don't have awesome communication. They can't speak, so I can only guess what they generally like. But one way that I have tried to be intentional with them is I go outside with them and we lay on a blanket in the shade because it's nice and summery. Mm-hmm. And we just lay there. Yeah. And we talk about whatever we see out there, but that's been, I think, a huge thing that they like, that I think they enjoy and that I enjoy. And you know, some of the times we're just laying there not saying anything, but the fact is we're together and I'm intentionally trying to be with them. Mm-hmm. And you and I have tried to do that too now every day. We try to take time where we're not working and that we're just
with our kids,
Yes.
with each other.
And there's a beautiful quote that I think you should read.
There's a quote by Thomas S. Monson, and he reads, "If you are still in the process of raising children, be aware that the tiny fingerprints that show up on almost every newly cleaned surface, the toys scattered about the house, the piles and piles of laundry to be tackled will disappear all too soon, and that you will, to your surprise, miss them profoundly." I don't think me and Meg are at that point yet where we miss piles and piles of laundry. Not quite. But I can tell you that day will come. And that day, I mean, even to the extent it has come. I remember when they were in preemie onesies.
Yeah, we don't fold them
They
anymore.
were teeny. They were the smallest onesies
like
I've ever
tiny.
seen. And we don't fold those anymore. We don't even fold, like, newborn.
Mm-mm.
They're, like, old.
They're in
They're
baby
like
clothes.
old babies now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those things that's bittersweet. Like, you're excited that they're growing up, but you're also saddened that they're growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's also another quote by
Mr. Robert.
his name is Mr. Robert.
We don't know
His
how to
first
say
name
his
is
first
spelled Caveat. So
caveat.
if
That doesn't make sense.
if you know how to say that name, let me know, because I really don't. But he says, he observed that 3 billion people go to bed hungry every night, but 4 billion people go to bed hungry for a word of encouragement and concern. And so we just urge each and every one of you that the people that go to bed hungry for a word of encouragement and concern are not your own family members, are not the people that you love most. Because we want you to make sure that they know that you love them.
Right. I have a really good example of this. My sister is super intentional, and for years and years, ever since I moved out of the house, so I've been out of the house 5 years now, every night she's texted me something. I love you, I miss you, I'm glad we're sisters, just something so small. But that daily effort of receiving a text from her has gone so far in our relationship, and we're really good friends because of it.
So actually, we're going to take a pause real quick.
The babies are awake.
We have babies to go get, and then we'll resume momentarily.
All right, welcome back. We are joined by our co-host.
Benny and we.
What?
I'm just playing. Winnie
Dude,
and
the
Bee.
other day someone was like, what are their names? And I was like, oh, Winnie and Bee. And she was like, Bean? And
Oh,
I
her
was like,
name's Bee?
Her name's Bean? And I was
Yeah,
like,
we named her Bee.
I was like, no, Bee. And then she was like, Bea? And I was like, Bee?
Bee?
And then her husband was like a honeybee.
Yeah.
And we were
really?
like, Bee. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways, they're here today.
So, one thing I wanted to say before we move on to the next topic, it is tomorrow only exists on a fool's calendar. And that was a quote by Ogmandino. So, make the most of today.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're gonna clean her up and start again. Okay.
Dude,
It's okay.
give me this. Give me it.
Alright, we're back again.
This time we have little friends, as you can see.
Yes.
Winnie and Bee
Yes.
are interviewees. Or interviewers? Interviewees. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, shall we?
Yes.
So, I'm going to be honest. When we look at these little girls, here we have these two perfect little children. And I immediately think we just have these two little humans with unlimited potential. They're a clean slate. They can be anything they want. They can accomplish anything they want. Whatever they set their mind to, they can conquer. And somewhere along the lines, we just believe that that's no longer possible for us. Even though at one point we were these little kids as well, believing that the sky was the limit.
Yeah. And why does that happen, do you think?
I think a lot of times the world just kind of beats it out of you. But that's one thing that we want to talk about today as well, is this understanding that each and every one of us have limitless potential. And each of us are sons and daughters of God. And because of that, We are endowed with greatness. We were born with it from the moment, and it was a gift that we have all been given, regardless of color, regardless of race, regardless of background or where we come from or financial standing. It doesn't matter. We all have the ability to become great. We already are.
I was reading a book, so we read tons of books, and I was reading this book, and I'm not going to name it because I actually did not like it at all. And it actually made me like really angry and kind of like, I don't know, it put me in a bad mood. But anyways, and the title of the chapter that I was reading in this book, it was like, you are not special. And I think that isn't exactly what the writer was trying to convey, but it upset me because, and I think it comes down to like what I believe in, and I really believe that each of us are special.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from my belief in God, that I'm his child, that you're his child, that they are his children.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what like affirms, that's what affirms the fact that no, we all are all special. And it's not even that you're saying that to like, I'm not saying that I'm more special than anyone or anything, but like, because we're his kid, we all have that potential and that uniqueness, and we are special. So if you're reading that book too, just don't buy into that. I don't believe it.
I 100% agree. Each and every one of us are special. I think what's kind of cool though is like, there's a scripture and it reads, it's in Mark chapter 11 verse 23. It says, "For verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be thou cast into the sea," be quiet, "and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith." And I think what's interesting is like, a lot of us often say that we believe in Christ, but I think sometimes we need to ask ourselves, do we believe it? Do we believe that all things are actually possible, that we have limitless potential, that we can accomplish greatness?
And the answer to that is yes, we can.
Yes, we can, but somewhere along the lines, like I said, is we forget that. There was this little boy, he was selling picture postcards in Los Angeles, and this man came up to him and he says, "Little boy, like, what are you selling postcards for?" And he's like, "We're raising $1 million for world relief." And he's like, $1 million? He's like, "This is ridiculous." He's like, "Do you really think you're going to do this all by yourself?" He goes, "Oh no, sir. I have another little boy helping me."
And he was so confident.
And he was absolutely positive that he could sell $1 million worth of picture postcards because nobody told him that he couldn't. But everywhere you turn, somebody's going to tell you can't do something. Somebody's going to tell you that your dreams are not possible. And we're here to tell you that they are. We're here to tell you the opposite of what that author said, that you are special, that you are unique, and that you can accomplish great and powerful and miraculous things.